Hi guys, thank you to everyone that's already joined. We're just going to give it till 5 past just to let a few more people join. So if you just give us a few minutes, we'll wait for a few more people to join and then we will get cracking. So just an update to anyone that's joined since. We are just going to wait until 5 past to get the presentation properly started. So feel free to quickly grab a drink or anything else that'll see you through the next 20 or 30 minutes. Okay, so it is now 5 past. So, first of all, hello and welcome to the first Apex Academy webinar. Today's focus is going to be on cyber attacks and cybersecurity and the risks to your business. After the presentation, we will be having a Q&A session. So if you think of any questions during the presentation, feel free to click on the Q&A tab and write it down. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I think we are about ready to get started. So, okay, right, let's go. So, the areas we're going to cover today are a couple of non-boring stats. Why should you protect yourself against cyber threats? We'll go through some examples of common cyber threats, what to look out for and how to protect yourself, firewalls and zero trust, what MFA is, what to do if you become a target, and then at the end we will open up for a Q&A session. If you have a question throughout the presentation, feel free to just put it in the chat and we will get round to these at the end of the presentation. If we don't manage to get through all the questions in the chat, we will endeavour to reply to them all via email. If you have any questions after the event that you think of, or if you missed an answer that we said, or if you don't hear back from a question that you asked, feel free to contact your account manager with the question and they can forward it on, and then we will get these answered for you as well. So let's begin. So 72% of the UK FTSE 350 companies said they were not trained to deal with a cybersecurity incident. 45% of employees at the FTSE 350 companies receive no cyber training from their employer. It's estimated that up to 40% of UK businesses will experience an attack or breach this year. 80% of breaches are the result of internal threats, so threats coming from within your organisation, whether malicious or accidental. And the average cost of a breach in 2021 was £3.5 million. So why should you protect against cyber threats? There are many reasons, but the main one is to protect your business. If you get hit with a cyber attack, it will cause downtime for you and your business, which will lead to potential loss of earnings, as well as the cost of having to fix the issue, plus any fines that may be imposed upon you by the ICO. Now, data protection, obviously data is your company's most valuable asset, and if it gets into the wrong hands, it can have devastating effects for your business. And again, data breaches can be extremely costly, both financially and reputationally. So as we said before, the financially side, the ICO have much higher fines that they can issue now to any company with a data breach. And obviously your reputation damage means that companies are less likely to stay with you. Two important compliance related areas that are worth looking into if you haven't already are the UK Data Protection Act of 2018, which is the UK's implementation of the wider EU GDPR legislation. And the second part is the government accredited Cyber Essentials certification scheme, which we'll talk more about now. So the Cyber Essentials scheme is a government accredited scheme for all businesses, and it helps demonstrate that you're actively thinking about cybersecurity and taking some basic steps to protect against the more common threats out there. It can also reassure current customers that you are working to secure your system more and working with security in mind, as well as helping to attract new businesses and potentially tender for government contracts that require Cyber Essentials as a standard. As it says here, most government contracts already require that Cyber Essentials certification has been given before you are allowed to tender. And then on top of that, so you've got Cyber Essentials Basic, and then on top of that, you've got the Cyber Essentials Plus. Cyber Essentials Plus is when you pay for an independent third-party auditor to come in. They verify everything that you've said in your Cyber Essentials submission, and then that gets signed off, and you then get Plus status. What is phishing? So, one of the most common cybersecurity threats is phishing. This is the practice of sending fake emails designed to look or sound like legitimate emails to end users in order to either get them to download an attachment, click a link to a fake web portal where they enter their username and password, or to transfer money to an incorrect bank account. The easiest steps to protect against phishing attacks are to double check the email address is spelled correctly. If there is a website link in the email body, hover over the link and see if the text displayed is the same as the link itself, or if it's a different web address. Or if you receive an attachment or request to change banking details, call the other person that the email address is supposed to come from on a number that you know to be genuine, that you've called them on before, and double check with them directly before downloading or paying the money. Malware is a blanket term for any malicious software that an attacker wants to install on your devices. 4 traditional types of malware are viruses, worms, spyware, and Trojans. One of the most recent developments in cybersecurity and attacks is the rise of ransomware. This is malware that's designed to encrypt your files and demand a ransom to release your data. It is worth noting, though, that there are no guarantees your data will be returned if you do pay the ransom, and in some famous cases, the third-party groups have taken the ransom and then still released all the files and data on the dark web. So it's suspected that around 60% of ransomware attacks come from opening a phishing email. research suggests that there will be a ransomware attack every 11 seconds by 2022. It's estimated that annual ransomware damages for the last year, so in 2021, were $20 billion worldwide. A staggering 623 million attacks were carried out worldwide in 2021. This is the second highest year ever after 2016, where we had 638 million attacks. In Q2 of 2021 alone, there were 188.9 million reported ransomware attacks. It's not all bad news though. The good news is that since Q3 of 2021, ransomware has seen a downward trajectory, and this has continued into Q2 of 2022, with this being the fourth consecutive quarter of ransomware decrease and the lowest figure seen since late 2020. This year has been the first year since 2018 as well that the volume did not increase between Q1 and Q2. Every other year it's seen an increase between Q1 and Q2, and this year it hasn't. So that is some good news. And while a decrease in ransomware volume is unquestionably good news, it is important to keep this drop in perspective as well. So the amount of ransomware we've seen in the first half of 2022 has already eclipsed the full year totals for each of 2017, 2018 and 2019, meaning we're still a bit above pre-pandemic levels, but it's a downward trend, so it's all good news. So how can you protect yourself and your business? None of the information that we've shared so far is designed to frighten you. It's just important to know. Knowing about it means that you can look for it, which means you can hopefully protect against it. So some of the ways that you can protect yourself a bit better is using a unique, strong password for every different website or service that you use. Using secure Wi-Fi whenever you connect to Wi-Fi, so don't connect to open guest hotspots, open Wi-Fi hotspots in pubs and bars and train stations. Always connect to either a secure Wi-Fi that you know the password of or hotspot it through your phone. Training. Training is one of the biggest areas that we can improve upon. So if you're an employer and don't have training already, feel free to get in touch and we can recommend our training solution. Or if you're an employee and you don't have training, nag your boss to get in touch with us to get it sorted. The other things you can do are ensure that all your devices have some sort of endpoint protection on, so antivirus or MDR type solutions. Back up your data regularly. What this means is that if your data does get encrypted, you can just restore from backup and carry on. Use multi-factor authentication whenever possible. So most websites these days will offer some sort of MFA. So it's important to use this because it means that even if your username and password get breached, they won't be able to log in without that special code that gets sent to your phone. Sorry. A firewall. Installing a firewall on the outskirts of your network will protect you against incoming threats from outside of your network. Keeping all your software up to date. Patches are released for a reason. Generally, it's for security reasons, so always install them whenever possible. And the Apex Zero Trust software. The Apex Zero Trust software is an application whitelisting software. What this means is it will block anything that it doesn't know. Why that's a good thing is that it means that only applications that we know about, that we know that are secure and that we trust are allowed to run on your environment. And then what you can see below is what's commonly referred to as the Swiss cheese method. It's basically you layer up your security solutions, and then hopefully that means you are better protected. Because no one solution is perfect, no one solution will do everything for you and protect you against everything. But if you layer several up, then they will be able to catch 99.9% of all threats. So what is a firewall? A firewall is a network security device that monitors incoming and outgoing network traffic and decides whether to allow or block that traffic based on a defined set of security rules. Setting up a firewall is the most effective way of adding a security layer between your systems and the outside internet, protecting against cyber attacks from external sources. There are many benefits of a firewall, but some of them are it can help prevent unauthorized access to your network. It can help monitor network traffic so you can see what's going on across your network. It has powerful intrusion prevention, which protects against a wide range of network-based threats, such as internet worms and other malicious code. It has real-time gateway antivirus engine, so it scans your downloads for viruses, worms, trojans, and other malware in real time. It has dynamic spyware protection, so it'll block the protocols commonly used for spyware, and it will also block zero-day attacks, so newly created zero-day attacks before they enter your network, because it will scan it all. So MFA is multi-factor authentication, also known as 2FA or sometimes encompassing authentication. All this is it is a code-based application or a physical piece of kit that you've got that displays commonly a 6-digit PIN, and basically you just need to add that when you are logging in. Often the code, like I said, can be sent to an app on your mobile phone for you to enter when you go to the login page. What to do if you become a target or a victim? First of all, don't panic, it happens. The important thing is what you do afterwards. So it does say take immediate action, so your next thing to do is contact Apex. We will talk you through it, we'll walk you through it, we'll do whatever we can to help ensure that your business is affected as little as possible, and get you up and running as soon as possible. So some of the things we'll do is we'll ensure that the breach is isolated. We will get you to disconnect the device from the network, because if there's no network connection, then it can't spread. We'll get you to change all your passwords that you need to, and then it's up to you to notify anyone affected and the ICO. Okay, so I can see that we've had a few questions come in. Ashley's published some of them and answered them already, but we'll just touch on those ones as well. So in answer to Samuel Bell, pretty much exactly what Ashley said. Cyber Essentials is not currently a requirement for every single business, but it's just that a lot of the government contracts, if you want to go for a government contract, you want to tender for anything government related, they do require you to have Cyber Essentials before you tender. And a lot of private third-party contracts are also coming in to do the same, just because they recognise it is a good kind of baseline that you're thinking about security and you're doing some of the basic stuff regarding security. So it's not a requirement, but we would recommend it to pretty much everyone. Like I say, it covers some of the basics and it helps protect your business more than they probably already are being. Pav has said, asking about phishing emails. So yes, we are imminently going to be releasing our security packages, and part of the security packages that we are going to be doing is, I've just lost my train of thought, I'm really sorry. Part of the security packages is going to be a phishing and training platform. So yes, we will be able to basically help you do all that, and we'll get full reporting done and everything like that. Is a way to introduce another layer of security for people who work from home, as when you're working from home, you're not protected by the firewall. Again, as Ashley has mentioned there as well, part of the security packages is we are going to be implementing a new EDR solution. So EDR is basically the next version of antivirus. So antivirus is, your traditional kind of system that sits on your PC and scans everything as it happens. And EDR just goes a few steps deeper than that, inspects things at the what's called kernel level. So it's just basically a bit deeper in the whole system, sees how it's all working, and goes from there. The one that we are going to do as well does integrate very nicely with SonicWall firewalls. So if you've already got a firewall through us, it will all integrate and be nice together. But if you're going to do one get one in future, it's great that way as well. Is two-factor authentication available for domain login? Technically, yes. It is available for domain logins, but it's not the easiest and cheapest currently that I'm aware of. It's one of those, if it's something that you do want to talk about more, we can suggest a few options. There are a few different options, a few different paths that we can go down and look at. But it's not switch on, forget it, and won't cost you anything. There will be an ongoing cost to that sort of system. What other questions have we got that haven't been published yet? How easy is is it to configure MFA? It mostly depends on what kind of system you're doing it on. For the majority of systems that you're configuring MFA on, it's as simple as downloading an app, taking a picture of a QR code, and then verifying that code works. So it's really quick, easy, simple process, but it just means that it protects you so much better than just a traditional username and password, because you can't really brute force a 6-digit combination in the time that it'll be active for. At our company, we are starting to use personal laptops for work. Is that a security issue? So this is an interesting one that comes up every now and then. It's not strictly a security issue. If you use like BYOD, bring your own devices, but there are some considerations that you need to take into account. For example, who's going to be in charge of making sure the devices are up to date? Who's going to be in charge of making sure that they've got a working antivirus on their PC? Who's going to, be making sure that there's an active software firewall on the devices to protect both the user at home and the business as a whole. So it's one of those, again, if it's the sort of situation that you are looking to do, feel free to reach out to your customer relations manager, your account manager, and we can start that dialogue. And again, we can recommend some steps that you can take, potentially help you get the policies written up that you'll need to, because it's mainly a lot of policies just to kind of clarify, like I say, who's in charge of doing what for what part, just to make sure that it all works as smoothly as possible and doesn't open you or your company up to any issues. And then if we fall for a phishing scam, how quickly can things be repaired and returned to normal? That's a bit of a how long's a piece of string question, really. It depends on the complexity of the phishing scam. It depends what they've done, whether it's just to get you to enter your username and password, or whether it's a case of they've got you to do like pay an invoice to an incorrect bank account. If it's just the username and password, obviously we can reset your passwords really simply. Hopefully, even if they've got username and password, you've got MFA set up, so they still can't log into your email account, because they'll have the username and password, but they won't have the MFA token. But the important thing to say here is whether it's a phishing scam, whether it's a virus, whether it's ransomware, the sooner that you let us know, the less damage that will happen and the easier it is to fix it. If it happens and you stay quiet about it for a week or two, obviously that's a week or two where they've been able to do anything they want and potentially do a lot more damage. If you let us know, as soon as it happens, we can obviously jump on and stop them doing anything more. What are the differences, benefits of using 2FA on an app versus a key like YubiKey or a similar device? Okay, so a YubiKey is like a physical key token that just generates well, you can get a few. You can either get them that just generate a 6-digit code like we saw in the last slide there, or you can have it so you plug in and then it verifies it that way. The main difference is the cost. 2FA on an app is obviously pretty cheap. You've got a phone already, an app's free to download, and it's just scanning a QR code. If you get physical keys like YubiKeys, or I can't think of any others off the top of my head right now, but if you get any things like that, obviously you've got the cost of those devices, the cost of any licensing associated with it. So yeah. Okay, I think that's the end of the questions for now. But like I said, if anyone does think of any questions after this, if you've got anything that comes up, if you're thinking about the webinar at midnight tonight and you suddenly go, oh, I wish I'd have asked that, feel free to reach out to your customer relations manager, and they can liaise with me and we can get it answered for you. But thanks for all the questions. Really hope that you found today's webinar informative and interesting. If you do have any feedback or anything that you want to say, please contact john.blackburn@apexcomputing.co.uk. Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a good weekend. Thanks, guys. Bye.